Hi YouTube, I'm Taylor and welcome to Ginger Next Door. Today's video I am going to be doing a all-day wear test on this new foundation from Maybelline. This actually isn't that new, it's been a couple of months. I bought this right when it first came out, I think, and I just have had it sitting in my foundation drawer forever because I kind of forgot that I bought it. But I was doing some cleaning over the weekend and I decided it's time to try this out. This is the Maybelline Dream Urban Cover. This is their full coverage protective makeup with sunscreen. This has a broad spectrum SPF 50. I wish I would have used this more over the summer, but what do you do? First things first, I'm gonna prime starts with a P, and I keep wanting to say it with an F. First things first, I'm going to prime my face, got it, with the Fenty Beauty primer. Take a little bit of that on the back of my hand. So whenever I try out a new foundation, I like to use a primer that I already know that I like with it. I do have a new primer that I want to try out eventually, but sometimes when you try two new face products at the same time, it's really hard to tell which one's working or which one's not working, if there's any weirdness there. So when I try something new, I like to stick with a foundation primer that I already know that I like. Next, I'm going to do my under eyes, which is my most important step in all my makeups. Get those dark circles. This is the Pixie Under Eye Concealer in the color Brightening Peach. I use this every single day. And if you've been here before, you probably already know that. But if you're new, welcome. Okay, I feel like I should shake this. Maybe you don't need to, but it felt right. Oh, this has a weird kind of tip. Oh, it's very liquidy. I'm going to use this L'Oreal blending sponge. This is one of my favorite favorites. I'm gonna just dab that on. Oh. Okay. Color-wise, we're matched just fine. But here's the problem for me and why I don't normally do a full coverage foundation. I'm so pale that my freckles are the only thing that give my skin some depth and color. So when you cover them up, then I just look like even more of a ghost than normal. But it's alright. You know what? Okay, this sponge, this is very liquidy, which I really, really like. I feel like a lot of times full coverage foundations aren't that like liquidy and easy to blend, but that blended out really nicely, but it soaked up a lot in my sponge, so I'm just gonna dot this onto my face. Whoa. That was a lot. And then blend it out with the sponge rather than trying to pick it up from the back of my hand. If you don't already know that, picking it up with a sponge can just make you soak in a lot of the product. I feel like putting it onto my face and then blending it out, I don't waste as much foundation and I don't need to use as much. So I'm just gonna do that really quick. She's so white. I'm liking how that foundation looks a lot though. Like it, oh, and it's not sticky at all. So far, so good. It just has like the prettiest finish. Why am I'm like really blown away. It's been a long time since I've tried a full coverage foundation and been like really excited about it. It's been a long time since I've tried a full coverage foundation in general, but that's because normally I don't love how they look on my skin. Okay, yes. First impression, I love it. It feels so nice on my skin. Whenever I use a full coverage foundation, I like to use a beauty sponge to blend it out that's wet, damp, because it helps to sheer it out just a tiny bit. Where I was talking about liking to see my freckles a little bit more, I like to use a sponge so that I get that kind of effect. If you like a super full coverage, you don't want to see any of that skin underneath, using a brush will give you more coverage than using a sponge. I hope I'm not being too chatty in this video. I just like to share my tips that I know, okay? I'm going to just take a tiny bit more of this right under my under eyes because I kind of missed that little spot, and I would like to try this by itself without a concealer just to see. Okay, so here's what I'm really liking. If you are someone who wants like an insanely full coverage, it probably looks like I have more coverage in the viewfinder than I actually do, but you can see like my little freckles a little bit. If you are someone who wants a very, very full coverage, you could get that so easily with this. I had used hardly any, and I feel like if you were to do like two really thin layers rather than one thick layer, you would get that like super, super full coverage look. without it feeling like, it doesn't even feel like there's anything on my face, which is odd. Okay, here's a close-up of it. Seriously. So pale. Okay, so here's a close-up of what the foundation looks like. And you can see a little bit of my freckling through it. But it doesn't feel like I have a ton of makeup on. And it has more of that, like, natural finish. I am going to go, I keep looking at the viewfinder and not the camera lens, I'm sorry. I'm going to go ahead and set this with the Maybelline Fit Me Loose powder. Oh boy. I hate when it does that. At least I didn't get it everywhere. I was kind of careful when opening it. I'm just going to take that on my sponge and go on my under eyes. I think I just want to set my under eyes and kind of see how the rest of it goes. I also am going to take that powder up over my eyelid because for some reason I have like the oiliest eyelids. My face is pretty like combination, like I have some spots where I get a little bit oily and a little bit dry. My freaking eyelids. Does anyone else have that? It's so odd. I'm also going to set this little spot right here because this is where I'm getting one of those little smile lines that in the mornings you can't really see it, but then by the afternoon all my foundation is sunken into it and it looks like the Grand Canyon. I love this foundation. It just feels really nice and it looks not like cake. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and apply the rest of my makeup off camera and then I will check in to see kind of how everything looks on top of it. I'm not super worried. It feels so great and it feels so weird to sit here and be like, I love how my skin looks. But I really do, which is so weird. Okay, so far I'm loving this foundation. Gloss on my teeth, sorry. My powder products are playing very well with the foundation, which is always the best feeling. The main thing that I'm noticing is that it's not settling into any of my little fine lines under my eyes yet, because sometimes it takes a couple hours and then they look really bad. So far, I'm really impressed with this foundation. I hope that in a couple of hours it still looks this good, because if so, we've got ourselves a winner, people. Let's go, let's move forward with caution, because I've said that before, and then in 3 hours have been like, get this off my face right now. Okay, I am gonna go live my life for the next 8-ish hours, and I'll check in this afternoon so we can see where we're at. The time is currently 7:40 a.m. I will see you in a few hours. Okay, I have some thoughts. It's now 4:02. And this foundation has been on since about 7:30 this morning, so that's 8-ish hours, a little over 8. We're not looking too shabby, actually. My forehead looks very greasy, but my forehead always looks very greasy at this point in the day. My bronzer and highlighter still looks really good, so that's good. We haven't completely lost the foundation. Under eyes are still looking pretty good. The part I'm the most impressed with, this. I was talking earlier about how I always get that little smile line that likes to fill in and soak up all of the product I put on my face. But today, you can hardly see it. Unless I'm talking or smiling. But normally it just sits there even when my face is relaxed. I do have a little bit of breakup on my chin and like right around my nose. I'm showing a little bit of redness and it just looks like it's not as full coverage as it was this morning. However, I think if I were to set my entire face either with a powder or a setting spray, I rarely, if ever, don't set it with a powder or a setting spray. Usually it's both, but I just wanted to see kind of what the foundation would do on its own. I was hoping that maybe I'd be blown away and that it didn't need a setting powder, but clearly it does, because the spots I did set with powder, so like right around my mouth and then on my under eyes, still look great. Also, I feel like I should put a disclaimer on there that that's me being like super nitpicky. It still looks fine. It's still wearable. We're not in the zone of me being like embarrassed when I get home like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I've been walking around like that all day. It still looks really good, and I think that if I were to set it with a powder, it would be like very good. So I'm definitely not going to rule this foundation out. It still is amazing. And even the dewiness that I do have, it's just, I mean, humans produce oil. It's just kind of what we do. So I'm not like horrified by by the results, especially because this foundation was like maybe $10, maybe $12. Sometimes they're a little bit pricier than like $10-ish, but I can't believe I slept on this foundation for so long. It's just been sitting in my drawer when I could have been enjoying it for months. I'm so sorry. The overall bottom line though, I really like this. I'm definitely not disappointed. I always love finding a good drugstore foundation that I'm obsessed with. I think I really want to try to do a video where I do an actual full coverage, like intense contouring, a lot of concealer, just to see, because I've never actually done that on myself, because I'm always constantly like, I don't really wear full coverage foundations. I really want to try like a full coverage face just to see. Anyways, if you've tried this foundation, I would love to know your opinion on it. If you have other great drugstore foundations that you love, or if there's high-end ones that you're like, it's totally worth it, please buy it, please let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, I would really love it if you would subscribe and maybe even go follow me on Instagram if you feel like it. No pressure, a little pressure. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.